Hello everyone and welcome to another interview here on the channel, and today we're talking with Ben O'Connor, the rising superstar of Australian cycling, who had a good 2024 where he didn't just have success at the Giro d'Italia where he finished 4th, but also went on to do a really good Vuelta España, taking a surprise stage win after an enormous effort on stage 6, and then wearing the red jersey for a number of stages and placing second in Madrid. That wasn't all for Ben, as he also went to the World Championships, winning the mixed relay team time trial and also getting away in the final moments of the road race to take a silver medal. Quite a year, and now joining Jayco Alula in 2025, we sat down with him to discuss these things and more. Part of the Jayco Alula team camp, and today we're sitting with Ben O'Connor, and thank you for being on, Ben. And how's it been joining the Australian team?
It's already been a good vibe. It's been a good time already. I think it's been really easy just to slip in and feel, it's cliche to say at home, but it really does feel easy and to integrate and to be yourself within the team.
You were on a French team.
Yeah.
So now everyone speaks, I guess they spoke English there as well, but
Yeah.
it's a different culture.
Yeah, I think management didn't speak much English, but I have some really, really good friends from the days between Agent Desert to Decathlon, and I think we built a really good relationship too, and trust and commitment as well, which I think you saw throughout the year with how we raced and how we attacked races as well. So yeah, I'll miss quite a few of the boys there, but I couldn't be happy to change scene and be integrated into something that's probably a touch more familiar, more international, and obviously Aussie at its core. It's just actually happy days for me.
We might as well touch on 2024. Incredible year. You're inside the top 10 of the World Tour ranking as well. What was it like for you the whole year? What was the reason that kind of like everything shifted up a level?
I think personally for me, I've physically improved. There's no doubt about that. I think my line of progress has always been, let's call it, steady. It's never really been a jump to glory. In amongst that, I've had some great results and great things. You know, in 21, I was 4th in the Tour and I won a stage there. So you kind of nothing to be sniffed at. But I think my consistency was the main product of it could be age or just gradual improvement. Because there was never really a bad moment within the year where I was never at my close to best. So I look back at that year and we'll think probably for a long time how impressive it was.
I mean, well, we'll talk about that year the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah.
How was that for you in the beginning? The first week you tried to sit on Pogacar's wheel.
Yeah, you learned a little bit there. I did some fantastic numbers that day, but it clearly is not enough to follow that guy. But that's a race actually I look back at with a bit of not regret, but a bit sad because it wasn't my best race of the year. I felt like there was a lot more I could give, but yeah, I was crook as a dog, so I was really suffering that final week, and was very, very, very happy to be in Rome by the end.
How do you train for like a final week? Because you're not training to be like finishing the Grand Tour. You're training to be up there.
Yeah,
final week.
Racing now is like 90% fatigue resistance. You know, there's guys that do fantastic numbers all over the place, and I do pretty good numbers, let's call it. My ability is there, but it's about doing your best after 4,000, 5,000 calories and 2 weeks worth of racing. And that ends up just being training, load, and physiology, to be honest. I'm not doing none of us are doing 2 week training blocks in a row where you're going to have that same sensation. It's a very particular thing, and it's the reason why Grand Tours are special and why you do see in that final, especially those last like 2 days when it starts to get the sort of the bigger stages, you really see some boys falling apart. And I guess it's just the beauty of that kind of race. You know, it's an endurance sport packed in amongst, you know, efforts that are like 400 meters and sprinters, you know. So it's pretty cool.
So the Vuelta a España was a bit different. I don't know. Were you going in with like good legs? Because it seemed like, well, we'll talk about the stage where everyone forgot about you.
Yeah, well, I thought I was going in with good legs, and then I had a shocker over TT, and then I also had a shocker over mountaintop on stage 4. It was so hot. Man, it was so hot. You can't tell you. So I think I really struggled on that day with the heat. So I left that kind of stage pretty filthy with myself and a bit down because it wasn't how I expected. You know, I'd had quite a good period of training, and my coach was really, really thorough because I asked him straight up before we started. I said, "Do you actually reckon I'm good? Like, kind of like I was before the Giro?" He said, "No, for sure you're better. Just trust it." And then I had a couple rough days, and it wasn't so much downing, but then there was a little bit of fire in the in the belly, and then all of a sudden we got to that stage where there was an opportunity, and I was lucky enough to be able to chase it and grabbed it and kicked off the rest of the race from there.
What was going through your mind in that race or that particular stage?
At first, I was angry because I missed the break because I just wanted to do something. I was, as I said, pretty disappointed with how the other days had gone. And I just really wanted to get out there and try something. Because I got so blown away on the first mountaintop. So, well, if I can't do it there, then I'll do it on another kind of stage. So, working out really well, and I found myself again. I've had it in the past where I've had bad days. The next minute, and very good, and it's something that I've been able to turn around. I've been able to come back from a rough one and give yourself a bit of talking to and get it done. So it's really funny how it all like played out because I laid a lot of the line that day. I was still the GC guy, and the team was still riding for me. It was still the aim at the start of the race was to be in the top 5 overall. So yeah, for the boys to see, your GC guy jumping across the break, it is a risk, right? It's a risk not for me only, but also for the boys and how they would then see you and how they would then work for you later in the race. But obviously it all worked out.
What was that shift for you as well? Suddenly you had the red jersey and you're being hunted down by another Slovenian.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, but I guess it's probably the same feeling you'd have anytime you wear a leader's jersey. It just happened that I had a very big gap, so it felt like the hunt was for quite a long time.
What is it like wearing a leader's jersey?
You just feel really proud. Like, I mean, you're the one leading the Grand Tour of the Tour of Spain, the Vuelta a España, and it's really a special feeling to have that support from, well, what seems like the country, and you see guys wearing that jersey all the time, and there's like another sense of respect that you get from the whole peloton. So yeah. Oh, and not just the peloton, but also staff members from all the teams and also support. So it's a moment I will never ever ever forget because, well, it might never happen again.
It might.
I hope it happens again. That's what we raced for. I raced for that. It was really unexpected. I never really thought too much about it. I envisaged winning a stage of La Vuelta. That's something that I knew I can do, I could do. So that was sweet to get that. It was one of like little bucket list things, right? It was still a stage of every Grand Tour. But yeah, to have the jersey was absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, you've done all of them.
Yeah, Tour, Giro, or Giro Tour and Vuelta. So that was a really cool little like thing that I had going actually into the race. Like a little like, not checklist, you would say. I'm not there with a book, so yeah, I've done that. It was really something I wanted to do in my career.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I guess it's novel, but I'm proud of it, so.
In terms of the legs coming out of the Vuelta, were they pretty good?
Shocking. Actually, that week and a half after the race was some of the worst I've ever felt on the bike. I really, fatigue-wise, not mentally, actually. Mentally was okay, because I was getting outside on the bike, but just the objective was to get out. It's like really had to just get outside because I wanted to do Worlds. It was a course that was super hard, and I was like, look, I want to be part of Worlds. I had no expectation because I wasn't sure if you were going to do this or stay like that. And I actually called it on the time trial. I was meant to be there for the TT with Jake, but yeah, I couldn't get myself to do that kind of effort. It would have cracked me. So I said no to it, but I wanted to do the mixed TTT. That meant that I had to be part of the crew, and it gave me a good. Well, it was an obligation to do an effort, right? You were forced to do something. I knew I had to do something before the race started, but it's even better when it's like forced upon you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Rather than you having to lap a button and you go out, with a mixed TTT, you've got no choice. So that whole process I actually really enjoyed. I did a couple of big days before the race started, in that week, and started to slowly turn around, and then the race came out as it did, and I had a really, really gritty race, I would say. I wasn't the best, but was able to come back every time I was dropped and then got the slip with the final kilometre, more or less. So that was another really, really cool experience.
Were you surprised when they let you go?
Well, perhaps, but everyone had tried. We've been trying for the last 10Ks before that. It was ridiculous. I don't think I've ever been part of a group of guys so buckled. We're really all hands on knees. Yeah, this drag, and I remember it'd rit-tack, and then I would go, and then Scores would go. I'd get dropped, and then Matthew would go, then Healy would get dropped, and he would come back. It was just like a mess. But to get the sleep when I did, I knew straight away that it was the right move, because it was just that point where everyone just stops.
Finally, this year,
Yeah,
Jayco Alula Tour de France, you're leading the team. Eddie Dunbar talked about supporting you for that. How are you feeling about the route and just leading the Australian team out?
I think first week looked pretty rough. It's really, really, really tricky. A lot of quite punchy finishes where you have sprinters, GC guys, and punchy boys all fighting for the hill or positioning. And it's pretty technical. There's quite a lot of open sections. So it's a super spicy first week. And they have a very, very long climbs, I would say, for the rest of the race, to be honest. The ones in the Pyrenees, one to the Alps there. They're all quite long climbs. So I think if you get through that first week, it's a race that does suit my characteristics because of that super long climb kind of setup, and they're more or less back to back actually. So it's a route that I like, and I don't think. Yeah, I actually can't wait to tackle a tour in. I don't mean in too bad of a way, but in a non-French team. I think really that would be something that I would be really interested to see how it goes. I only started the tour when I was with Ashen Desert, so there's kind of like another bubble there that goes on. Whilst here at Jayco, I think it's a really, really nice atmosphere, and it's something that is balanced and understood. And I think that the communication will be really a key thing that I'm going to enjoy going to the tour. I trust the boys, and I already can see from the way we've been going about training so far. I mean, I raced you said Eddie before, right? In La Vuelta was fantastic on a couple stages, really, really impressive. And you know what he can do. I've got no doubts or struggles about the fight because, Dylan, Elmar, Luca, Durbo, guys like this, I've seen at the front of sprints, echelons, day in, day out, and they're experts in that kind of, scene. And something that gives you a lot of faith, and I think that we can tackle it in confidence.
You're a busy man. Thanks very much for listening to you.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Let's get a picture as well quickly.